Hello everyone, the Kentucky Patriot here. Want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Things hasn't worked out for me exactly like I wanted to on this channel. I had made plans where maybe once during the week I was going to do a video where I sit down and have like a coffee chat with you, just a quick chat with you. And then on the weekend I was going to try, because I work during the week, the way it is here in Kentucky, about the time I get home from work, it's dark in the evening. I know there's a the next time zone over. You guys don't move your clock forward and backwards, but here we're on Eastern Standard Time. We do. So by the time I get home from work, it's basically dark, no time to get to the range. So I was going to try to do it on Saturdays. Well, not trying to make excuses, but the first Saturday we'd actually had some drywall that I'd cut out. I had a little thing made, and I was going to shoot different calibers through drywall and see how it works. But we was on a wind advisor, so we couldn't be in the woods. So we went to another location, and the wind would gust so terribly. It'd just be a big gust come through there, and then it'd knock it all over. We'd set it back up before I get one round. It kept doing that, so I put it in storage. Was going to do it the next week, and then it rained. We had terrible weather, and then this past week I took my family down to Tennessee, so we'd spent some time down in there, and I tried to get a hold of Adam from the Hootie Hoo channel, but we didn't get together. But anyway, long story short, I apologize for the delay of range videos. We've just been busy, and hopefully we'll still get to do that with the drywall. But this has kind of been brought up, and I've touched on it on several other videos, but this is just about preparedness. And this, whether you want to call it survivalist or prepping or whatever, it's really just about you and your family just maybe taking some thoughts or ideas, or just taking some steps to be prepared. And we certainly, even though this video will probably go a lot longer than I mean for it to, we won't be able to touch everything, but I do want to talk to you a little bit about being prepared and some things that maybe can happen that you can prepare for and maybe help you along. And real quick before we get into the video, Fiachi sent me this. They just sent me some iron sights. They do not sponsor my channel, but they have just been good to me, and they sent me these shooting bags, these range bags that you just fill up with sand, and they're great for target shooting. They're great to sight in your guns. And they sent me these sandbags just to enjoy, and I appreciate that so much. So they've been a great friend to the channel. You've seen me advertise a lot of their products: the bipod, the flashlight, the holographic scope, the deer hunting scope that I use this year. They just send a lot of neat stuff. They're a great company, right in time for Christmas. So I want to give them guys a shout out and say that I really appreciate them. But talking about preparedness. And there's different schools of thought, and you do what makes you and your family feel comfortable or whatever. But when you start talking about being prepared, sometimes folks will say things like, well, if you take steps to be prepared, that means you don't trust in the Lord. And I'm not trying to be antagonistic, but that's just nonsense, because if that's your school of thought, well, then you could say the same thing about concealed carry. Then you should never carry concealed to protect yourself. You should just trust in the Lord. So that argument is silly, because even in the Bible days, they did not have guns, they did not have black powder, but Jesus told Peter to go get a sword when he was getting ready to be crucified, told Peter to go get him a sword. David had a sling. David was a man of war. So here's the thing of it is, when they tell you things like you shouldn't prepare or you shouldn't take caution or whatever, to me that's silly, because it's plain. The Bible says faith without works is dead. And I'm not talking about you being paranoid or you living in a bunker having a tinfoil hat on, as they tell people about. But what I am talking about is just taking steps for you and your family to be prepared in certain situations to help you along. And me and my wife was blessed to actually got to go hear Kyle Lamb at a leadership forum. If you don't know who Kyle Lamb is, make sure you look him up. He's an American hero. The movie Black Hawk Down, that was made after the situation, the Battle of Mogadishu. Kyle Lamb was one of the Delta Force guys that was actually let down on the roof of the Battle of Mogadishu. And he gave us a speech about survive or thrive a few years ago, and it was really good. Gave a lot of good points, but we're not talking about you being scared or paranoid or anything like that. But I can't remember who the gentleman's name was. I should have looked before I made this video. It was really impromptu. My wife was ready for bed. I said, let's do this real quick so we can get this up, because I'm already behind. But he made a comment, something about on the last video or two that there had been a chemical spill where he had lived, and within 3 hours there was already people just scattering for water and food, and just really, he said he had to end up driving like several hours away, like 3 hours to get water. I guess it was just an awful mess. That all took place within 3 hours. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, on my Kentucky Patriot page, in a way it's kind of funny, but really it's very serious too. When all these people, I sent a picture on the post on the Facebook page there, that all these people trampling over each other and just fighting to get into the store, and the caption said something to the effect of, if they're going to do this over a television on sale, what are they going to do when the food runs out? And again, I'm not talking about the end of time. I'm not talking about the battle of Armageddon, or when an angel puts his foot on the sea and foot on the land and swears by him that liveth forever and ever, that time shall be no more. I'm not talking about the trumpet sound. You prepare for that spiritually. What I'm talking about is in times of need or in times of hardship, you and your family is taking a few steps just to be prepared, okay? Just to make things a little easier on you. And in everyday life, we take those steps in one degree or another. Now I'll kind of explain a little bit what I'm talking about. But when people look at this, they say, well, that's foolish. You're never going to need that. Well, it's kind of the same way with your homeowner's insurance. If you look at it from one side, we can look at my wife being married going on 14 years, and they'll say, all those years you spent on homeowner's insurance, you threw that money away. That was foolish. There's no need to, but the thing of it is, we hope and pray nothing ever happens. But, you know, if something happens terrible and you lose everything you have, to have something to fall back on, you're sure glad you prepared, that you took precautions, that you, had stuff stored up for a rainy day. And even in the Bible where Joseph, he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, and he said there's going to be 7 years of famine. So in the 7 good years, he stored up, he laid up. So when famine did happen, when things did arrive, when bad situations took place, he was not only able to help himself and his family, but others as well. And that's basically what this channel has always been about. We're talking about concealed carry, home defense, ways to secure your house. We've talked about that in several videos, action plans. There's a whole lot of things we've told you in our opinion, our experiences, and it's always about helping you, making you and your family safer and kinder. And even just like in home, let's say, whether it's a chemical spill, whether it's something happens to the electric grid, and even just something like snow. Me and my wife, when she was expecting my first child, we went 5 days without electricity. So it's not the end of the world scenarios, but when people start going, we see it with Hurricane Katrina or whatever, just having things in place to make your life a lot easier. Because a lot of times it's not only you to think about. Most people will have elderly parents, elderly grandparents, children, grandchildren, somebody else to think about just besides them. And just things, just like clean drinking water. You got to realize you might not be able to boil water if you don't have electricity. You have other ways to start a fire. And guys, these little tiny matches that you may or may not be able to use, you're probably not going to be able to start a fire with that. And I'm all for trying to start a campfire with flints or whatever, but you really need to have some good ways to start a fire, maybe, or some of those. Now, I'm not talking about rubbing 2 sticks together out in the woods, but I'm talking about those fire starting kits. Just having a few things laid back, and those life straws are great if you're out hiking and stuff. But now those life straws are a great tool. We've got them, so I'm not against them. But you need to have a better source of water source, renewable water source, than just the life straws. And I'm telling you things that we do. Like I said, we've got kids, food, the same thing, having some food, and realize if you can't run to the store, and a lot of people says, well, I can garden. Well, the truth of the matter is, you have to realize what season it is. Here it is, almost Christmas time. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot of gardening this time of year. Or, you've got to think, if it starts going months and situations are still bad, you're not going to be able to go out and plant and grow and harvest. And I don't want to gloom and doom, but just simply being prepared, having food, having water, having heat, having shelter. And I know a lot of people, the thoughts are immediately the bug out bags, bug out, what's in your bug out bag? And I'm for that. I'm not against that whatsoever, because it may be a localized area where bugging out is the best thing, the best option for you. But what about if it's a bigger, a larger scale area and you can't bug out? Maybe you've got other issues and family to take care of where you have to bug in. Are you prepared? And again, I'm not talking about a doomsday supply and living in a cellar and a bunker. I'm talking about nuclear war where you think you're going to live in your basement and all of a sudden you're going to come out and the whole world's going to be destroyed and you're going to start over. That's just silly. But what I am talking about is if things begin to happen, are you prepared enough to sustain you and yourself and your family without hunger and food and worries, just to be able to kind of take a deep breath and say, hey, we're okay. And it's as simple as things like med kits. And Tim, my buddy, Timmy, BYN, he sent me this, just for no other reason than he's a great guy. He just sent me this. Works right up my alley. My family loves to backpack, loves to hike. And you know what we do? We're going to take this with us. And you know what we're going to have in there? Things like maybe a little bit of food, a little energy bar or something, maybe water, and a med kit. We have a med kit in our car. We have a med kit in our house. Now, are we going to be able to take the same things that we have our med kit in our house when we go hiking in a bag this size? Absolutely not. But to have a few things just in case something happens, I think it's just smart. And that's all it really is, whether you're carrying a knife or a gun or whatever for a concealed carry or self-defense. Most people don't even know you carry if you carry concealed. Nobody has any clue you carry. So it's not about an image or trying to be tough or anything or be macho. It's simply doing what you can to protect yourself in case something arises. Again, I said this in other videos. We're not vigilantes. We're not going out looking for a fight or looking for problems. But we just want to protect ourselves and our family and look out for those we love. And that's all I'm talking about when it comes to preparedness. So having med kits, having ways to sterilize wounds or if you get cut or scraped or things begin to happen, tourniquets. And it's not just for yourself. Even in day-to-day, like I said, we have a med kit in our car. And just happened the other day, we came up on a wreck. A lady hit the back of a school bus. I guess she was looking down, don't know what she was texting, don't know what she was doing. But me and my wife and kids was with me, and we seen that happen. And we had to jump out, and I went over to the car. I couldn't get the car door open, so I had to, put my foot up and really basically make noise and get the car door open to help get her out. But she was able to walk. Everything ended up being fine. But in a situation like that, had she would have had a big, huge cut in her leg and maybe hit that femoral artery there, or maybe she was bleeding, you've been able just to help somebody else with a tourniquet, with a med kit. You say, oh, that'll never happen to me. I hope and pray it doesn't. But if you come up on a scene, what if I'd have been a child? What if the kids in the school bus? It's not just about us. It's about those around us and just helping one another, because if that would have been my child on a school bus, I would sure want somebody to look out for them, and we need to take care of one another. And I've bragged on you guys, the Second Amendment community, the gun community, how loving and great you are, and you're so kind. You all sent me stuff. You all been such a blessing. But sometimes if we're not careful, we'll end up dog eat dog world, even the Second Amendment community. But you got to realize, and I know there's groups in the Second Amendment community. I know there's what we classify as the shotgun guys, or the competition shooters, or the Glock guys, the 1911 guys, or the revolver guys, or the long distance shooters. But what we got to realize, or the hunters, we're all in this together. So whatever niche you fit in, we're still all in this together, and the right for the people to keep and bear arms, that includes all of us. And I know I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit, but with everything that's going on in Virginia and the red flag laws, we really need to stick together and not say, hey, well, he carries a different gun than me, or different holster than me, or different caliber than me. As long as you're doing what you can to protect your family, that's really what it's all about. And I don't want you to think that I think you ought to go out and spend a ton of money. But just like Christmas, when you get gift cards or something for Christmas, instead of just going and buying something this or that, maybe get you a little something to put back in your med kit. Maybe get you a little something to store up. Maybe get you a little something to start a fire with. Maybe get you a good carry knife or a hatchet, or this is such a broad topic. I can't even really begin to scratch the surface on it. And again, I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to worry you or fret you, or that I sit around and wring my hands. It's the same thing about, like I said, the homeowner's insurance. I don't sit around and worry about homeowner's insurance. I pay the bill every month and go on. You know what I mean? You don't give it a second thought. So it's the same thing when you're kind of at the store, where you go on vacation, or Smoky Mountain Knife Works or Bass Pro or something, and you see something on sale, that could be useful, or I don't have that, or have you looked in your med kit lately? Maybe you got a med kit 10 years ago in your car, and you begin to go and look, and maybe something's outdated, or something's the material's not stretchy anymore, lost its elasticity, or there's just so many things. And if you've got friends in the medical profession now, I've had people just give me things like forceps or whatever. All these things you can put back and you can use. That way, if something happens to the electric grid, that way if you go without electric a few days, that way if you have a Hurricane Katrina or an earthquake, or whether you're at where you can't run and get milk and bread, you can't run to the we kid around here and laugh and kind of joke about it, but it's true. They won't even be snow. There'll just be the threat of snow, and the grocery stores will be packed. Everybody running to get milk and bread. Well, what happens if you can't get to the grocery store? What happens if you can't get milk and bread? What happens if there's just so many things that can happen. And basically, I just want you to be prepared. And just give you something to think about in the back of your mind. And, maybe for Christmas, instead of saying, getting socks or whatever, not that you should be thankful for that, but, say, well, this year, instead of that, I wouldn't mind to have a med kit, a backpack, some ammo, just some things that might be able to help you, whether it's hunting. If you live out a little bit, you might be able to get a .22 rifle and maybe hunt, or be able to fish, or be able to, depending on the time of year, harvest certain things, and to be able to kind of live off of nature, or just kind of your own wits. And if you make it for 2 weeks and you've barely got by, you didn't have no food, and everything, the situation's cleared up, that could be a terrible 2 weeks for you. Or you could have plenty of food, plenty of water, not having to worry, being in a warm house. There's just things you can do to, I think, better your circumstance, better your surrounding, make it less stressful for you and the ones you love. If something happens, to say, hey, it's okay. We've got this, we've prepared, we've thought about this, we've got this. And even now, somebody else will give me an idea. I think, that's handy, I don't have one of those. Or I'll be at a store somewhere and say, hey, that's neat, I may try that and get that. And just, like I said, just have something with you in your vehicle. Have something with you if you're out in the woods on a long hike away from everybody. And here's something else. A lot of people rely on their cell phone. Most of the places we go and hike, we don't have cell phone service. When you go out in the rural areas around here, you don't have cell phone service. So to be able to be self-sufficient, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And really, these videos are impromptu. So if I misspoke or say something too fast, please forgive me. But it's just a thought that I'll have, and we'll make a video real quick. But you being prepared gives you peace of mind in certain situations. If your kids are scared or nervous, and you say, hey, look, it's okay. We've got this, instead of saying, what are we going to do? Well, think about what we're going to do and go ahead and prepare for what we're going to do. That way, when it comes, you'll be ready. I'll say this, and I'll try not to hold you too long here, but the same thing in a home defense or a fire situation, and I've heard a lot of people say this, and it's absolutely true. You'll ask parents about your kids having fire drills and tornado drills at school, and they'll say, oh yeah, and they'll say, well, have you ever tried it at home or mentioned it at home? Well, no. Your kids need to know what to do in a situation that arises. Whether it's home invasion, you want them to be assets, not liabilities. They need to know what to do if the alarm goes off. They need to know what to do in the event of a fire or a tornado or whatever. And this isn't scaring them. This is just say, hey, if this happens, this is what you're to do. And my wife knows what to do. I know what to do. My kids know what to do. When you prepare, it just makes everything go a little bit smoother. And I really do. I want the absolute best for you this holiday season. I want the best for your family this holiday season. I care about you. I appreciate you. May God bless you. The Kentucky Patriot here. Just trying to help you really is all I'm trying to do. Just make you think. I want your, basically what Kyle Lamb was saying, survive or thrive. I want you to be able to thrive. I want you to enjoy life. I want you to take care of those you love. And like I said, it may not even be you that needs it. You may be able to help somebody else. Joseph not only helped his family and the ones he cared about, but he had family and other friends and neighbors that he was able to help. And you may be that person. I mean, they may be a tree down, and you may have the tools and the chainsaw in the building to cut a right away in the road or whatever. But anyway, just something to think about for the holiday season. Think about for gifts or whatever. Just kind of keep this in the back of your mind. Always think, and like I said, you're not going to spend a whole lot, but just kind of keep your eyes out for this or that. Maybe add to your collection and help, because, like I said, the more prepared you are, the better off you're going to be. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We just broke 5,000 subscribers, and I know that seems small for a lot of channels, but it means the world to us. It does. I appreciate you more than you know from the bottom of my heart. Thank God for each and every one of you. Wish you the very best this Christmas and New Year. Leave your comments in the section below. Just keep them family friendly. If I miss something, tell me what you do. Tell me what you like. Tell me some thoughts that you've had. Tell me ways you prepare. We'll all put our ideas together and help each other. May God bless you, the Kentucky Patriot. Signing off.